Hi guys, welcome to the dragging a shape exercise. This is something I think a few of you might want to do given having a look at your storyboards. So here we're going to show you how to do it. So what we're going to do is the shape that I want to drag around is going to be a circle, and I just want to be able to click it and move it around in my canvas. So first thing we're going to do is let's draw our circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to save the position of our circle as some variables. So I've just called it shape X and shape Y. So this will be the thing that will hold where our circle goes. So initially, in our setup function, initially we're going to set shape X and shape Y to be the center of the canvas using the width and height variables that you've seen throughout the other exercises. So now that we've set shape X and shape Y initially in the setup function, we can draw our shape. So we're going to draw the shape using the ellipse function. We do shape X and shape Y, use those variables that we've set here. The other thing we're going to do is set a width and a height for it. So we're going to set a width and a height with another variable. I'm just going to save a radius variable of 50. And then the diameter variable is going to be the radius times by 2. The reason I've done that is I'm going to use radius further down when we're writing our grabbing function. So let's save that, and you can see we've got our circle. Now nothing happens with our circle at the moment, but we've drawn it. So that's step one. The next step is that we want to detect when the mouse is pressed within this shape. And when that is the case, we want to change a variable, a Boolean variable, so a true or a false variable, and we're going to call that variable grabbed. So this is going to show us that the shape is grabbed. So you can see that what we've got here is, and you might have used this in some of the other exercises, is the mouse pressed function. So when the mouse is pressed, let's just say grabbed equals true, and then so when the mouse is pressed, we're going to set grabbed to true, and when the mouse is released, we're going to set grabbed to false. Yeah. So I just want to see grabbed, so I'm going to just print it. Print is a way that you log something in the console, and you can get to the console by opening up your dev tools in Chrome, and you can see it there. So let's just make this a bit bigger. So you can see that this thing is running on every draw function. See it hammering up like that? That's because draw runs however many times a second, and we're printing whether grabbed is true or false. So at the moment here you can see that grabbed is false because we've set grabbed as false by default and nothing has happened to change that. So now you'll see if we click somewhere, grabbed is true. Yeah. So I've got my mouse button held down here and it's remaining true. As soon as I let go, it goes back to false. That's because when the mouse is pressed, it will be true, and when it's released, it will be false. Okay. But the problem is here that we're set it's true no matter whether you click in the circle or outside of the circle. Yeah, we want to test whether we're clicking within this circle. So the way we do that, excuse me, that's my phone. Sorry about that. So the way that we test that is we're going to, I'm just going to go and show you a little diagram here. So we could test this by testing whether this is the mouse. We could test this by testing whether this mouse X and mouse Y position is within these bounds here. So that point there, the X value on the X position of that is shape X minus the radius, because the radius is here. Here's shape X minus the radius, that's the X position, and shape Y minus the radius is the Y position. So that's that point here. We can test the mouse. We can test that the mouse is inside roughly this shape by doing a bunch of conditional statements to check whether it's between those things. But what we've got is a circle, so we don't want it, if we do it that way, then it'll be true if you're in this corner here. So actually a much simpler way for us to do it is that the processing has a distance function, so we can use let's just say mouse x and mouse y here. So we can use the distance function, which is dist between 2 points, so between shape x, shape y, and mouse x, mouse y. We can use that to get the distance of this. Yeah, so we can call that something like d. That's d, and d equals d equals. So we can get the distance between the mouse position and the center of our shape at any time. So anytime we press down, we'll try and find that distance. And then what we can do is we can test whether d is bigger than radius, because if the mouse is inside the circle, d this distance here, if the mouse is inside the circle, this d here, the distance between these 2 points, is shorter than the radius. But if the mouse is outside the circle, this d value will be bigger than the radius. So that's what we're going to do here. You might want to pause that and rewind that if you didn't grab it. I was going quite quickly there. But let's do that. Let's find the distance. So we've got d is the distance between the mouse position and the shape center. Yeah. So then we're going to use a conditional statement here and say if d is smaller than the radius, then grabbed equals true. We're pressing down inside that shape. So let's see if that works. And if it isn't, then grabbed is false. So let's see if that works here. You can see that it's false at the moment. If I click outside the function, here I am clicking outside, moving around outside the shape, it's staying false. If I click inside, it's true. Yeah, it'll stay true when I move it around because we're only setting it back to false when we release the mouse. So here I'll release it, and then it goes to false. Okay, so now we've figured out that we can click inside the shape. Now we want to do is we want to move it around. So we're going to use this function called mouse dragged. So every time the mouse is dragged, as in the mouse button's been pressed and it drags, it'll do something. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to check that we've grabbed, because this mouse dragged function will run anytime we drag. So if we click outside and drag around, that mouse dragged function will run. Here, I'm going to show you. Let's print dragged. So here we're going to print dragged. Oh god, let's just. So here we can say that, see, it's running when I drag. Here I am. Okay, I'm going to click down and drag. It's dragged. It's that dragged function is running anytime we click down and drag the mouse. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to just check that if grabbed is true. This is shorthand for that. So that's the same as equal. So if grabbed is true, we want to do something. Yeah. So you can write this in a short way by just saying if grabbed, because grabbed is a true false value. Yeah. So if it's grabbed, if we've grabbed that shape, then we just want to update the shape x and shape y variable to be the mouse x and mouse y variable. So it'll follow the mouse around. So let's just get rid of that. Hooray! There we go. So we've dragged that round. That's working. Yeah. And that's it. So you may want to do this with an image. It'll be the same concept with an image. You just make this shape an image. If it's a circle, you can still use the radius tester thing. If it's a rectangle, you can use the coordinate sort of, you'd have to change your conditional statement to use coordinates. But we can just deal with that on a case-by-case basis in class. All right, thanks for listening, guys.